Y'all ready? Turn it up. Here we go.
Turn up your radio right now.
Right now.
ESPN West Palm tonight is on ESPN 106.3.
That's right, it is. It's a Thursday, July 11th, and we're feeling good on ESPN West Palm tonight. You got Derek White headed to Team USA. You got Jaylen Brown with the Finals MVP in his trophy case. You know, Derek White actually joining his teammate Jason Tatum fresh off that Boston Celtics championship, playing for a gold medal for Team USA as well. A lot of Celtics fever, Celtics lore in the air, and the Celtics franchise up for sale. And that is where we're going to start our conversation today. I'm Theo Dorsey. You hear me all the time, theoretically speaking, 5 o'clock here on ESPN 106.3. I'm new to this side of things on ESPN West Palm tonight. And to talk some business, to talk sales of franchises and major things, always good to welcome in Andy Cagnetta with Transworld Business Advisors, who's taken a little short break out of his busy day of, buy, selling, and trading businesses and working all of the numbers and all that big corporate stuff to talk a little sports with me. I appreciate you pulling up on me again, Andy.
Thank you so much, Theo. It's so great to be here. It is fun. We were just talking right before we started how sports is such a great outlet for that, right?
Yes, it's so smooth and good. Like I'm from Houston. My family's dealing with all of the wrath of the hurricane and the remnants of the fact that the city still couldn't get on top of things and still couldn't manage what we expected to happen when flooding hits Houston. A lot of problems ensue. They didn't get on top of it. My family's bouncing back. Thankfully, everybody's in good health. We're just trying to get the power and the Wi-Fi turned back on. So that's good. But it's nice to be able to sit here and chop it up about problems that aren't necessarily ours, like finding a buyer for the Boston Celtics. For people that don't know what went down here after the Celtics raised banner number 18, co-governor Wick Grousbeck announced the Celtics, the storied franchise, 18 titles, winning in most decades in the NBA, are up for sale, and there is going to be a bidding war that people are anticipating will be the highest sale of all time in the National Basketball Association. We saw in 2022 when the Phoenix Suns were up for sale, Matt Ishbia, he got in on it, $4 billion for the Phoenix Suns. Since then, I mean, we won't talk about how poor the franchise has looked on the basketball court, but still that valuation, rising tides lifts all boats. And Andy, before we got on the mics today, you said something about this Celtics sale that has me thinking, oh, no, you're a crazy man. You're a madman. How high do you think this sale could get up to?
I think at least $6 billion.
Man.
At least. Listen, the Phoenix Suns, the Suns went for $4 billion. And listen, that was a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
And we all know what's happened in inflation, but it's the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Like you said, the storied franchise, 18 banners. How often, and I've heard John Henry say that. I remember when Steve Cohen was looking at buying the Mets, when they're selling the Lakers, when they're trying to sell these storied brands, how often do they come up for sale?
Yeah, never.
It's a scarcity valuation. It makes no sense. We were talking about this before, that it used to be, how do you make a millionaire? It's like be a billionaire and buy a sports team, so, and that was the joke because every sports team used to lose money. But that's not the case anymore. And not that the valuation has anything to do with cash flow, because it doesn't. It is a scarcity factor. It is a vanity buy. And there couldn't be anything. Well, there could be. You could buy the Yankees, or you could buy,
maybe the Knicks.
Maybe the Knicks,
yeah.
But
the Warriors also have technically with Forbes, the Warriors have a higher valuation because of that new arena they have out there in San Francisco as well.
But the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
It's the Boston Celtics.
You get to say, I own the Boston Celtics. You get to walk around with that thick trophy case behind you and the whole Northeast backing your franchise. And again, as we talk about these Celtics and the big business side of it, there's also the fact that they could be on the precipice, I don't think so, but a lot of people do, of a dynasty. Like, they just locked in Jason Tatum for a long-term deal. They got Jaylen Brown under a long-term deal. Derek White, who's going off to play Team USA basketball, is locked in. You have Drew Holiday, a two-time champion, who is now signed through multiple years for the Celtics. Like, this could be a team that only continues to raise in value, not just with perception, but also on the court, which in turn makes it a more, a loftier thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it just doesn't make any financial sense to own something like this unless you're going to sell it for more. That's what all these sports teams, all these franchises are betting on. You told me the price. I didn't even remember the price. Go ahead.
2002. So back in 2002, when the Grosbeck family got in on the ownership of the Boston Celtics, it wasn't in the billions. It was in the millions. $360 million to be exact. So that is 22 years ago when they got in on the Celtics. $360 million was the buy. And you think, and again, for people that don't know you, you have a vast mind and a vast history with it when it comes to buying and selling Fortune 500 companies with what you do with Transworld Business Advisors. You think that this could be a $6 billion deal for the Celtics. Have you ever seen an ROI like that in any of the deals you've been in just over the span of 2 decades?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, $360 million, somewhere out there in the world, Wayne Huizinga is looking down on us going, maybe I shouldn't have sold those franchises. I mean, maybe my family should have hung on to them. I mean, just crazy numbers for all these franchises. And you're seeing it drip down into other sports.
Yeah.
I mean, people are trying to get into all kinds of sports, all kinds of franchises.
Is there anything that compares to, you called it a vanity buy before, when people get into sports franchises, when these folks that have made their money in other arenas, whether that be in corporate businesses or through other kind of acquisitions of wealth, they make their money elsewhere. They get into sports franchises because they get you into certain circles that gives you a certain level of publicity and popularity in cities, and it can make you a godlike figure if you're able to deliver championship teams in those towns. Is there anything else in business outside of sports that is similarly a vanity buy, where you're not going to make money off of it necessarily, but you hope it grows in value, and also it gives you direct value instantly because of the circles you're able to get into?
I mean, I think, maybe it's like when people buy internets, like I'm trying to think of some technology deals that, people buy these technology deals because, just think of Elon Musk buying X. I mean, crazy number.
That might be a perfect analogy you just gave right there.
Right. It's, it made no financial sense whatsoever. He's lost a ton of money doing it. I mean, will it work out in the end? Who knows? But it nothing really compares to that, other than like people buying yachts and mansions and things like that. But that's not a business deal.
Right. And you know what? After my third yacht, I'm done with those things, man. It just sinks your money right down the drain. Andy Cagnetta with Transworld Business Advisors joining me, Theo Dorsey, on ESPN West Palm tonight, talking some ball here with the Boston Celtics being up for sale. $6 billion would be a total that would, skyrocket past my belief of what the Celtics should be valued at. Nobody's questioning what kind of value Caitlin Clark brings to the WNBA. I don't know if you saw, but Wednesday she had another huge stat line, 29 points, 13 assists, 5 steals. The Fever did lose to the Mystics 89-84, but it's not the wins and losses we count when it talks about the impact of Caitlin Clark. It's the eyes she's bringing to the WNBA and the amount of power she seems to have had on not just the attention, but the cash flow that goes into that business. I went and looked, Andy, at the top 10 WNBA games watched this year. 8 of the top 10, literally the top 8, involved Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. You, with your business mind, when you watch what's happened and the way that she and some of the other incoming rookies and freshmen coming into the league have bolstered this thing in professional basketball for women, what's your first thought? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, my first thought is they must capitalize on this. They must take this opportunity. And one first opportunity is, please, somebody put her on Team USA for the Olympics. I mean, come on, don't be dumb. This is the biggest opportunity. I don't care who's pulling the strings. Please listen to Michael Jordan, who wants to put her on the team. I don't know if you saw that, but Michael basically said she needs to get on that team. And whatever it is, somebody has an injury, she wants to, they got to get her there because they have to take this opportunity. They're filling the stands. They have to take this opportunity to market the WNBA. I mean, I'm watching, and, you know, I have watched before. I have been to a WNBA game when the Soul were down here, but it's a different level now.
Here's where I would agree with you. I do think her being on that Team USA roster lifts up the marketability for it, puts more eyes on it, and it also will create a better basketball player in her because what we've watched happen in the NBA, and I haven't seen it as much in the WNBA because I'll admit I hadn't been as tuned in to what the women's game has been over the past couple of decades. When your young stars get to go out and play and train with and play alongside the veterans of the game and those that train and show you the ropes more so, that only helps bring them into the game in a bigger way, evolve them as a player, evolve their mindset. And right now, Caitlin Clark is only resolved to an Indiana Fever team that hasn't been successful over the past 3 or 4 years, that needed her help to surge that engine and make them get going. I think it would be beneficial not just for Team USA basketball and not just for the league, but for Caitlin Clark herself to be able to go play alongside some of those vets. I do get why they held her off at first because you want those spots to go to the deserving players that have earned it and the veterans that feel like they need those spots on Team USA. But I have a skeptical sports talk radio guy brain going, and I have an inclination that all along they left her off in the first place to leave that room for opening. We just saw it happen with Team USA men's basketball. Kawhi Leonard, last minute, decides, I'm going to focus on the NBA. I'm going to focus on the Clippers. I'm pulling out, and we saw Derek White become a late ad. If you have Caitlin Clark off, and that means that more shows are going to be talking about the fact that she should be there. And you got Michael Jordan now advocating for Caitlin Clark. You got Andy Cagnetta here on ESPN West Palm tonight saying get number 22 over there to Paris. Maybe that opens the door for her to be able to do so, and then it only heightens it. When there's a bit of resistance, you know, that only causes more of a heightening for attention around something. But that's my little skeptical sports talk radio guy brain. It would work out that way. It would work out good. You would want to watch it.
It would work out good, and it certainly has been a discussion. And having Caitlin Clark in that league, they have to take the examples of women's tennis. They have to take the example of other women's skating. I'm trying to think of women's gymnastics that have exceeded sometimes the men's game.
Swimming and diving here and there.
They have taken that star power and they have parlayed it into making that sport as relevant, getting it somewhat the LPGA, not as much. But they've had some stars that have lifted that game, that have got the sponsorships over there, that have got the prize money and the paychecks going. And I think the WNBA, I think this one will stick. Certainly the WNBA has had stars before. You think of Lisa Leslie, you think of some of the folks that came out of UConn. I mean, they've had some stars. Brittany Griner, they've had some stars, but I think this one kind of really got it going.
Right. Caitlin Clark's game, it has resonated with so many. Her rivalry with Angel Reese in college basketball that has now transcended over and broken into the WNBA. It has brought it just something about it's the way she shoots it from so far back. It's her vision, her passing ability. It is her disposition. And I think my favorite part about Caitlin Clark and something that gets slept on the most is name that one famous Caitlin Clark quote, that one famous Caitlin Clark rebuttal. You can't. Because she's all about ball. Like, she's just a pure hooper. She cares more. Like, every time we bring up Caitlin Clark's name, we talk about everything outside of what she actually does on the court. And what I love most about her is she is singularly focused on what happens on the hardwood. And I think that's what makes her such a presence that is not polarizing. More so, she's somebody that attracts a bunch of eyes. Whereas we do know about with Angel Reese, as good as she is, and she's got that double-double streak going.
Right.
She gives some quotes that some people don't like.
Right.
I tend to love because I like the brashness of it.
But I like Angel Reese, too.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
And that's the thing. Some people think you have to like one and hate the other. It's like it's never been that. But again, it's those kind of rivalries and those kind of narratives and storylines that drive more attention and more eyeballs. And beyond all of that, that WNBA rookie class with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and then there's other names like Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson. Like those are names that resonate with folks. You talked about the women's game being able to pass up the men's game. They did that in college basketball last year. And there's becoming, it's starting to become a lull a little bit in the NBA, especially with American-born players. There's a chance. There's a chance here for the WNBA to make up some ground there and get some viewership. For you personally, when you look at what the NBA is right now, we just talked about the way that the Celtics are going to be up for sale and they could be up to $6 billion. I also think about how a major entity in the NBA and LeBron James is going to be leaving soon, right? Like he only has a couple more years of playing and relevance.
At best.
He's carried the torch for this league for a couple of decades here. Like the NBA is going to miss that guy. They need somebody to be that polarizing, yet also gravitational pull kind of person. Like what is that going to be in basketball to you right now? Is there any young players in the game that catches your eye?
It's not Bronny. I mean, but that's a great story, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good story watching them play together. Hopefully they get some play time. Hopefully Bronny actually makes the team. I think he's going to. They drafted him, but I just don't know. I mean, you're hoping that some of the draft class comes out on top.
Yeah,
and
there's a Cooper Flag kid coming up. Have you seen some of him?
Yeah,
Look, there's a gap. And whenever there's a gap and there's a hole for something, somebody's got to come and fill that gap. There is one thing I have a blind spot on. I have to admit, Andy. And again, we got Andy Cagnetta coming in from Transworld Business Advisors here with me, Theo Dorsey on ESPN West Palm tonight. I don't know what this Transworld Pickleball Friday is all about.
So first of all, talk about a hot sport.
Yeah.
Pickleball is everywhere. They're pouring money into it. There's going to be professional leagues. We are sponsoring USA Pickleball. We are going to several of the national tournaments, but we want to bring it right down to the local level. And so we have sponsored, this is our second sponsorship of helping young people get involved in the sport. So first time we were at Sunrise Middle School in Fort Lauderdale. And we brought them all the equipment. We had a day. We had USA Pickleball come out. We had a whole kind of teaching session with them. And so we're doing that again at SOS Children's Village. And we have some folks that are going to come out. We're donating all the equipment to them. And we're going to, just make a great day for everybody and spread the joy of pickleball. It's funny. Several of my staff play pickleball, and they're like 30-something years old, and they're going out on the courts, and they play with the 70-year-olds. There was a bunch of 70-year-olds playing. There was a bunch of 35-year-olds, and all of a sudden they started saying, hey, let's mix it so they could get some better games going, but they're all playing together.
Do you play pickleball at all?
I have played a few.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I
play with Brooklyn here, who's sitting with us. So
here's the thing, and I love me some action. We were just playing pickleball.
You'd be good. You got you're taller than me.
You got a little bit of a wingspan and everything. Right. I am so bad. I have been for a while at just returning a ball into play. I can hit the ball all day, but returning it in play is such a troubling thing. I remember growing up, I tried tennis because I had a tennis court near my house. Right. I would go there with the racket. I bought it. I remember I walked to Walmart one day because I was just so predetermined in my mind. I'm going to get good at tennis, and I absolutely stunk at it. And now pickleball is resurgenced now years and years later, and I try to get out there and do it. I was playing in Minneapolis with the in-laws this past weekend over July 4th weekend. Getting a little better at it.
All right.
Still is a very challenging thing for me. I'm going to get that racket on the ball, but I can't promise you where it's going to go.
It's a great game. It's great because it a lot of people can do it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of different skill levels, and it doesn't take a lot, especially doubles. So, hey, get out there. That's what it's all about. I mean, everybody got to get out from behind their screens, right?
Yeah. What is the information on Transworld Pickleball Friday? Is this something people could get involved in, bring their kids to?
They can't because, it's with schools. You have to have special permission. You have to get, so when we have kids like this, we have to get special permission to come and have it. But check it out. It'll be on TV. It'll be in the Sun Sentinel next day. We'll throw out some things on social, too.
There we go.
Check out Transworld Business Advisors social channels, and we'll get it out there.
We will do just that. And for Wick Grossbeck, if you're listening, if you're tapped in, and I know you're trying to get a good sale on the Boston Celtics Transworld. I mean,
we can help you.
I was about to say, how would you help market to sell the Boston Celtics? You already talked about the 18 titles. How would you lift the value and get it above that $6 billion mark?
Yeah, it's a controlled auction situation. They're going to have a time period. They're going to let the several groups come in. I mean, one of the hardest parts of that size sale is deciding who's for real. I mean, who could really put together $6 billion? We were kidding beforehand that maybe it's Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, one of the biggest Celtics fans out there right now. But again, he doesn't have $6 billion in his pocket. But could he put together a group of people that can leverage themselves into $6 billion? And private equity has now, all of a sudden, sports is the darling of private equity. And you see private equity buying into things like volleyball leagues and buying into things like the golf leagues. And so it's interesting that, and private equity, if people who out there don't know, is investor capital where, people are investing in private equity, and insurance companies invest in private equity, banks invest in private equity, and these people go out and invest in certain things, whether it be corporations or stocks and right now the hottest thing is sports.
Right. So there's people that invest into private equity, and that entity itself is the one that would go out and try and purchase a piece of a franchise.
Yeah, or group of them.
Yeah.
And something this big, you would spread the risk out over several entities.
Yeah, well, look, for $6 billion, I would hope they can hang 18 more banners because that is a lofty price.
That is a lofty price.
Yeah, even for the Boston Celtics. Andy, I appreciate you pulling up on us today. Is there anything else you want to drop on us for Transworld Business Advisors that people should know, need to know, as we do know that you all are the major player, not just here, but across the nation in buying and selling businesses?
We are selling thousands of businesses this year. If you want to go out and sell your business, now is the time. And I'll tell you right now, money's freeing up. People were like all worried about interest rates going up and inflation. Things have calmed down somewhat, and the prices that we're seeing out there, I don't know how long they're going to stay. I mean, you think it's $6 billion. Same thing happening in business. The prices right now are a little bit higher, and I know there's a lot of baby boomers. I know you baby boomers are still listening to radio, love sports. If you want to sell your business, give us a call.
You know who to call to do that. You know how to tap in with us on ESPN West Palm tonight. I can't help you sell any businesses, but I can sell you on this idea. The Caitlin Clark flow, the Angel Reese Rookie of the Year race between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I think it's sealed up. Caitlin Clark has got this thing. The double-doubles, the triple-doubles, the high points and assist marks, and if the Fever make the playoffs, I think that one is signed, sealed, deliver. Thanks again for joining us, Andy. You can get back to your real work, your real busy work, and I'll keep talking these sports here on ESPN 106.3.
Thanks, Theo.